But in a statement released on Friday, Taylor Farms says, quote, according to the FDA, there are no confirmed positive sample results for product testing for cyclospora. And Mexican health officials announced the parasite was not detected in lettuce or water at one of the company's regional plants. The FDA says it's also investigating a separate outbreak of the disease, but they don't know what's causing that one. So let's talk about something that we haven't really talked about yet. How is this impacting businesses in Illinois? Well, joining us now to answer that, we have Jay Aldebert, the Chief Growth Officer of International Services Incorporated. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So even before a specific source is named, customers, you know, they kind of panic, they stop buying. So what's the very first financial move that a restaurant or a grocer needs to make right now?
So the biggest impact is going to be to those restaurants, specifically independent restaurants. The very first move they should be doing is marketing. And when I say marketing, not the practical sense, we're talking about where do they source their product? Being able to put that on menus, being able to put that on receipts, being able to communicate that by your servers in a restaurant. That's a very important factor. On top of that would be your washing methodologies that you use in the restaurant. That should be the number one thing they're doing, is marketing those.
Yeah, definitely. It all comes back to money, right? I mean, spoiled produce means a lot of lost cash. How do smaller places handle that sudden hit without completely going under?
Yeah, that's going to be a difficult one. I was reading a report by the National Restaurant Association that said the independent restaurants, 42% of them weren't profitable in 2025. So it is going to be an impact, whether they were prepared for it. And especially it being in the summer in the state of Illinois, this is their big cash flow. There's tourism, there's patios. People are going out and eating more than it does in the winter months. So the way to avoid this is really looking at another source and being able to know all your costs. If you know your costs of your product in your restaurant and being able to know what that substitute is going to do, I think that's the biggest step they're going to have to make.
Yeah, thinking about it in this lens is just so interesting, because if it's, something that's going on, you can just kind of avoid it in your own dinner table, right? But at a restaurant, it's a little bit different. Like if a main ingredient suddenly just becomes off limits, how do you pivot a menu overnight without losing customers?
It's really interesting. Trust is a currency, of course. When you look at the types of restaurants, the immediate ones you think about are Mexican restaurants, but it's also burger joints and delis and so on and so forth. Being able to look at the cost of that product and being able to flip and being able to communicate, it's the over communication that's going to help in this situation. I think that's what's going to bring them out on the other side. And the other part, if I may mention, is there is no smoking gun. I mean, in other words, there is no positive sample. The other part of that is there is no window of time where the product was created. So if I understood it was created within a 2-week period of time, it's easier to understand I'm going to avoid that product. That's the only other concern, is there is no end date about when the product was created.
Right, right. If, a Chicago business owner is watching this news right now, today, what is one thing that you think that they should do before closing up shop tonight, maybe?
We work with 10,000 businesses a year, and probably 800 to 1,000 of those are restaurants. And one of the biggest focuses we have when we're looking at is they look at every menu or every item on their menu and can tell us what the cost structure is in that. A lot of times these are artists, they're culinary artists. Looking at the business of the business side of it isn't really their interest. Sit down, go through what your price per plate is, go through what the cost per menu item is, and know exactly where you can substitute.
Yeah, great advice. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here, Jay.
It was great. Thank you.
Take care.